Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, just want you to know that I have series of videos for grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9 math. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Math-A-Matic. In this video, you're going to learn about how to determine the inverse, converse, and contrapositive of an if-then statement, or also known as conditional statements. So I have example here of conditional statement. If it's 6 p.m., then I'll prepare dinner. So the words after if, or the statement after if, is what we call the hypothesis, and after then is what we call the conclusion. Now we can write this in symbol. This is the P, or if P, and this is the Q, the conclusion. So in conditional statement, we have if P, then Q. So let's put it here. So if it's 6 p.m., then I'll prepare dinner. Now, in the converse statement, if we're going to get the converse, simply we're going to flip the conclusion and the hypothesis. We're going to switch them. So that is now if Q, then P. So what is our Q? I'll prepare dinner. So that would be the hypothesis. If I prepare dinner, then it is 6 p.m. Now, what about the inverse? The inverse is simply the negation of the conditional statement. What do you mean by negation? Becomes negative. The statement here becomes negative. Usually, we add the word not, or I'm not going, or do not, something like that. Now, if it's the inverse of that, if this is positive, is negative statement. But if it's already negative statement, then the inverse of that is positive statement. So here it means if not P, then not Q. It means if it's not 6 p.m., then I'm not going to prepare dinner. Now, what about the contrapositive? Simply is the negation of converse. Okay? So this one, this conditional statement, the negation is inverse, and then converse, that is contrapositive. Okay, which means if not Q, then not P. So from here, means if I'm not going to prepare dinner, then it's not 6 p.m. Okay, that's how you're going to find the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of a conditional statement. So let's have another example here. I have here the conditional statement. If you study in University of Santo Tomas, then you study in Manila. Okay, so we know that University of Santo Tomas is in Manila. So it means that this conditional statement is true. So this part here is what we call the hypothesis. And here, you study in Manila, that is the conclusion. Now, the conditional statement, if P, then Q. So this is the P, and this is the Q, which means that we're just gonna put it here. That's the P and that's the Q. And then we're just gonna put it in conditional statement. So if you study in UST, let's shorten the University of Santo Tomas as UST. If you study in UST, then you study in Manila. Now, the converse is if Q, then P. It means the conclusion becomes the hypothesis and the hypothesis becomes the conclusion. So if Q, then P. Which means that if you study in Manila, then you study in UST. Next, what about the inverse? If not P, then not Q. Which means the inverse is simply the negation of conditional statement. So that is, if you're not studying in UST, then you are not studying in Manila. And then the contrapositive is the negation of converse. If not Q, then not P. That is now, if you are not studying in Manila, then you are not studying in UST. Now, let's study the truth value of this. Let's see if the statement for converse is true, inverse, or contrapositive. We know, let's assume that the conditional statement, if you study in UST, then you study in Manila, is true because UST is in Manila. So the first one, conditional statement, is true. Now, what about if we're going to get the converse? Is the statement still true? If you study in Manila, then you study in UST. This one is false because you might be studying in other university, but it's still in Manila. Okay, next, what about the inverse? If you are not studying in UST, then you are not studying in Manila. This is also false because you might not studying in UST, but still you are studying in Manila. It means you're studying in other university. What about the contrapositive? If you are not studying in Manila, then you are not studying in UST, which is true. Because if you are not in Manila, so you are not studying in any university, including UST. Okay? So you notice here, the conditional statement and the contrapositive have the same truth value. And also, the converse and the inverse. Now, here, do you want to try this? Can you get the converse, inverse, and contrapositive of this conditional statement? So let's just put the conditional there. You can pause the video and try it, then unpause if you are ready to reveal the answer. Okay, so what's the converse? If it is a polygon of 6 sides, then it is a hexagon. What about the inverse? If it is not a hexagon, then it is not a polygon of 6 sides. And about the contrapositive, simply the negation of converse. If it's not a polygon of 6 sides, then it is not a hexagon. Did you get it right? Congratulations! So now, look at this one. If it is a hexagon, then it is a polygon of 6 sides. The truth value here, it's true, right? If it is a hexagon, then it is a polygon of 6 sides. Now, how about this one? If it is a polygon of 6 sides, then it is a hexagon, which is also true. Because no other name for 6 sides except hexagon. If it is not a hexagon, then it is not a polygon of 6 sides, which is also true. Because it's not a hexagon, then it's not a polygon of 6 sides. How about here? If it is not a polygon of 6 sides, then it is not a hexagon. If it's not a polygon of 6 sides, then it is not also a hexagon, which is also true. Now, so you notice again, the conditional statement and the contrapositive have the same truth value, the same as the converse and inverse. That's all for. So now let's have a summary of this. Okay, so let's have the conditional statement, that is, if P then Q. It means that we have the two parts here, the hypothesis and the conclusion. In the converse, if Q then P, the conclusion becomes the hypothesis. And in inverse is simply the negation of conditional statement. And for contrapositive is the negation of converse. So that's all for this video, and thank you for watching. See you